I had this biggest pride thing for the longest time about not saying anything because I didn't want anybody to give me something out of pity. I wanted to fight mano to mano, like let's square up and let's see who wins. And like that's kind of how I focused on stuff. But I started realizing that the more I was transparent and talking about my vision loss, it empowered others to kind of step up and step out.
A cartoon of a man sitting at a computer typing on a keyboard. The view zooms out and we see dozens of other identical men working in office cubicles. The screen goes black. The words "working blind" appear in green, typed out as if on an older style computer. Hey guys, it's Sam. Welcome back to The Blind Life, where I help you learn how to live your best blind life. Today, we're continuing our series on working blind, where we talk to some VIPs in the community who are working and find out exactly what they're doing. So today we are talking with Matt Filipinko. Matt, thank you very much. Why don't you tell them, first of all, what is your vision impairment?
So my vision impairment, I have a inherited retinal disease, Stargardt's. So Sam and I are Stargardt's brothers.
Yeah.
And I've had it when I was about 18, 19 years old, is when I first kind of got it all figured out. I was going to a bunch of different doctors and ended up pinpointing it and been living with it since. I'm almost 40 right now, so quite a while.
Okay, and what's your current acuity?
My current acuity is 2300 in my left eye, 2400 in my right eye, so I have quite a bit of vision left.
All right, and you want to tell everybody what you do for a living?
Yes, yep. So I work at Microsoft, and I've been there 9 years. My official role right now internally, like if you looked at in HR web at Microsoft, I would be a customer solutions architect. But in the global address list, or GAL is what a lot of people call it, we're called M365 Apps Rangers. And basically that's just a fancy title for a group of people that solve enterprise issues. Like right now, lately, I've been working with enterprises. I've been working with government, the DoD mainly lately, getting Office installed, getting Office updated, getting Office activated. And then as of lately, I've been leaning into a lot of the accessibility stuff with it as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what kind of education or training did you need for this job?
So that's kind of funny. It basically, I took a weird journey. I went to school. So I had an opportunity when I got diagnosed when I was 18, 19. I got on Social Security disability, like every fellow person that gets like is it that's it's just like that was my course of action. I didn't have any other options. So I got on SSDI. I started going to college. I went to college for 2 years. I got an associate's of applied science. Basically, my real job, I should be an administrative assistant. But I did that, and then I've always loved technology. So prior to Microsoft, I had two small sole proprietor businesses. I had a company called Blind Spot Productions, and then I had another company called Filipinko Films, and then another little IT hustle called Don't Freak, Call a Geek. And all three of those little side hustles, along with my SSDI, kept our family afloat. But basically what I did was over time, I wanted to get into Microsoft. I interviewed for over 3 years. It was over a segment of 3 years for 7 different jobs, 3 times for each job. So I met 21 different faces at Microsoft, and finally got in. And then when I got in, I started in the Premier Support organization. So, hello, my name is Matt. Thanks for calling Microsoft Support. I helped them fix Office. So started there and then transitioned my way forward. But all of the training that I have right now is just on I basically kind of self-taught, learned, watched a bunch of internal things. One thing that's beneficial at any company, I would encourage anybody to kind of lean into this. Lean on your collaborators around you, like whoever you work with, they will want you to succeed. So I got a ton of training from fellow colleagues like Eric and Bob and Martin and Amesh, my manager. Like I learn every single day at Microsoft. it's almost a mission statement for every Microsoft employee. Like if you ever think you made it and you're the minute you think you're chilling, you're backsliding basically, because if you're not progressing and learning forward, like you're just you're gonna slide backwards.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you think you know everything, then that's probably not the person they want, right?
Correct. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So now that you're at the job, what kind of accommodations did you need to set up, or did you need to request, and how did that process go?
Yeah. So at Microsoft, it was pretty interesting. So when I had those side hustles that I was talking about earlier, um, I started as a vendor before I started working for Microsoft. And when I was a vendor, there wasn't a lot of accommodations. I had a CRT monitor, like those boxy looking ones.
Yep.
And I basically had that slid to the edge of the desk and my keyboard sat underneath it. So my face was like literally like inches from the screen. That's how
Hmm.
I did my job every day. And when I did that, I would get these things where my eyes would get stressed out and my vision would go foggy and I'd lose it. And I'd have to like find my way to the door out in the hallway, and I'd sit out there on the steps and just close my eyes and listen to music, just like let my eyes rest. And then I'd come back in and hit it again. But once I got into Microsoft, the accommodations pieces really came through. I mentioned it earlier on a few different places, but um, I didn't tell anybody about my eyesight for quite a few years at work. So, but once I kind of came out and said, hey, I have low vision, leaned into it. Our accommodations process at Microsoft is phenomenal. I emailed this, it was accommodations, workplace accommodations, something at Microsoft.com. I emailed them. And then this lady named Stacy, super awesome. I still talk to her today. She emails me back and goes, hey, here's the form. Here's what you need to do. I went and got it done. And then I said, okay, now what's next? And she goes, just go get what you want. And I'm like, what do you mean go get what I want? And then that's when I started watching all of the Blind Life videos about the iris vision and all of the like Clover Book, all of the things like, because basically I had a corporate green Amex that said, hey, you got an accommodation. Tell me what you need. So basically I put together a list of my wish list. I sent it back to Stacy and from our HR team, from the accommodations team. She responded and said, looks good, go get it. And here's the IO code that you bill it all to. And that was my accommodations process. It's been absolutely phenomenal.
That's awesome. I don't know if everybody's going to have as smooth of a operation a process as that, but at the same time, the main thing to point to get out is that the companies are most likely going to be perfectly happy to work with you and willing to get you what you need in order to do the job. So now, in your current position, is there anyone else there with a disability, vision impairment, or are you the only one?
So in my organization, the part of the engineering team or the product group that I work in office, it's called Enterprise Health. There are a couple other people not on my immediate team with low vision, but on my immediate team, there's no one else. And
Mm,
one of the coolest parts is that um, they accommodate extremely well. Like when we're every quarter, every 3 months, I have to fly out to Seattle and do these called Rangers on sites, and we meet with a bunch of the other product teams. And um, everybody knows me, so they share the content ahead of time because they know even if they put it
oh
up on a
yeah.
projector screen, I still can't read it. So like they'll email me the slideshows before. Um, at this last time we were on site, one of the really cool things was Martin, one of my colleagues. He basically um, he knew that bigger text, less like not wordy, like he knew kind of the benchmarks of making an accessible presentation, and that's what he did. And at the end of the week, it was super funny because we were all sitting there kind of running through the full week of meetings and stuff and saying, hey, how do you guys think it went? And they asked me, they said, Matt, how did the meetings go for you with your eyesight? Like, did it work good? And I said, well, to be totally transparent and honest, Martin's was the only presentation I could read all week. And everybody was like, whoa, like it, but they're all so open to it, to where like
Mhm.
they help and they like it's a phenomenal team to be on. I think when you actually, wherever you're working, when you make that choice to open up about it, it's going to empower you. You may think it's going to hold you back, or I had this biggest pride thing for the longest time about not saying anything because I didn't want anybody to give me something out of pity. I wanted to fight mano to mano, like let's square up and let's see who wins. And like that's kind of how I focused on stuff. But I started realizing that the more I was transparent and talking about my vision loss, it empowered others to kind of step up and step out.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to ask how your interactions with your non-visually impaired coworkers over the 9 years, if it's been mostly positive. Have you ever had any negative situations come up?
Not a lot. I have had a lot of weird things happen. I mean, we definitely at campus, like walking around, walking up to people thinking they're the person that I think they were, getting really close and going, whoop, nope. And then I like beeline to the left and like just walk into like a closet or something. I'm like, okay, I gotta get out of here because this is uncomfortable. Like I'll like get, like I've had those types of situations happen. Other scenarios I think which are hard is when you're in person and you're meeting, being able to look at people's faces and reactions from across the table. Like I can't really see them.
Right.
Another thing for me, which is kind of an awkward thing when you're out when we go on site, we call these things whiteboarding, where you basically you have these big marker boards on the walls, and a lot of product teams will like sketch stuff out. We'll just brainstorm and like nerd out for a while we're talking.
Yeah.
And when they're using the markers in those rooms, there's blue markers and there's red markers and then there's black markers. The black ones are the best for me. So like if I get in there first, I go and I throw away all the red and blue markers. So I'm sorry if anybody from Microsoft is listening, but I get rid of the red and blue ones. But if somebody's using a blue one, I'm sitting in my desk, on the table, I have to get up and go stand next to the person that's writing it so I can read it. But I think that's probably the most weird interaction with people, is that like getting up close. But my core team and the enterprise health team that I'm on, they are so pro focused on like pro accessibility, pro help, like they will move mountains. Like, I mean, it's been phenomenal. Like on your talkback channel, all of the mice that you guys are giving away, all of the Surface Adaptive kits, all of that was funded by my not my manager, my skip level manager, through a budget on our team, because they believe in accessibility. Like they're putting their money where their mouth is, and they're leaning in.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So that means there's somewhere in Microsoft, there's somebody that is like, well, that's why we're spending so much money on replacing red markers, is because Matt keeps throwing them away.
Yep. I'm like grabbing them, chucking them in the recycling bins, and like, get rid of these things. They're terrible. Who thought of this? Why our red market
budget is so high.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, that's awesome, Matt. Well, thank you very much, man. So any last words of encouragement for anybody that might be out there? They're thinking about, they want to go work, but they're nervous about the process because of their vision impairment. What would you say to them?
I would say, like, the last thing is to kind of lean into whatever you're passionate about. A lot of people look at different things in life. Like when one of I didn't talk about this earlier, but one of the jobs that I had way before even I got diagnosed, I was a CNA, a certified nursing assistant. That's where I met my wife, Dana. And I absolutely loved that job. But being in the medical field was hard for me. Like I was having trouble charting, doing cares. In addition, I was on a floor with a bunch of diabetics, and I gave everybody banana bread with chocolate chips because I thought the little black dot was a raisin. I didn't think it was a chocolate chip. So like things that I couldn't see, but I would just empower anybody listening to this to take a passion of yours. Like I'm for instance, like with you, Sam, like you love video editing, you love like that kind of thing. And you could easily say, hey, I'm low vision, I can't video edit. I'm going to bail on this and I'm going to go do something else. And just find your passion no matter what it is, and just lean into it, because as long as you love it and you're willing to fight for it. Yes, it may take you a little longer to get things done. Like it takes me a little longer to read emails, but over time, what I'm learning is that I have to use accessibility tools like read aloud in Microsoft Edge, or Windows Narrator, I'll turn it on, or VoiceOver on my iPhone. Like there's enough assistive technology out there to help you kind of shore up the things that you need to level up on so that you can be the best employee. And lastly, the biggest thing for me is that I think people that are hiring people with low vision or any sort of disability, they already have to adapt to things in life. So like, it's like, I don't have a fear of anything. Like when I there's these big conventions at Microsoft called Microsoft Ignite. And I've had a room one time where I had to talk to like 3,500 people in this room. And they were asking questions. Like it was just a phenomenal experience. I couldn't see anybody. And the people that were waving at me, I didn't know if they were waving at me or flipping me off. I was just like, what's up? How you doing? Like it just didn't matter. So I would just urge anybody to kind of just step out and take the leap, take the risk, and just go for it. I mean, I've had so many experiences in the past month of helping people that don't work at Microsoft, like prepare for an interview, do an interview. Like our world is becoming more and more aware of it and accommodating to it. So I definitely, I'd urge you to just jump out and take the risk.
Yeah, because you have a motto, and you said it kind of applies to when someone is newly diagnosed, but it also applies to perfectly applies to getting out there in the workforce. And what was that motto?
Yeah, so my biggest thing is you can either roll over, like you recently got diagnosed with an IRD, life sucks. I get it. I was diagnosed too. So like you can either roll over or you can rise up in that situation, and you have to choose that rise up option to like just grab the bull by the horns. You have to fight through it, because it can be totally debilitating. Like you can push yourself into a corner and not be able to get out. But if you don't ever let it overtake your mind, your thoughts, like you just lean into it. So it's just rise up instead of rolling over is my biggest call out.
Yep. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much, Matt. And thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, as always, let me know in the comments down below. Stay tuned for another episode in this Working Blind series coming out very soon. Also, check out Matt and I did a live stream a while back where he talked about some of the accessibility options within Microsoft 365 apps and Microsoft Office and that sort of thing. I will link that in the description of this video if you'd like to check it out. Matt, thanks again, man.
Awesome. Thanks again. This is an awesome channel, and it's a major life-changing thing for me. So appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. All right. We'll see you guys later.